Scott Holliday here, and today on my Soapbox, I want to talk to you about a conversation that I can't seem to get out of my head. I was talking to a wrestler friend of mine, and I said, hey, I'm a big fan of this promotion. Why don't you ever work there? And he said, I wanted to, but there's heat there. He offered me a spot, but it was like $30 and in Pittsburgh, so I said no. And I was like, oh, that's a shame. And I talked to that promoter, because I'm friends with that promoter, and I was like, hey, have you ever considered using this wrestler? And he said, yeah, I think there's heat there. I offered him a spot in Pittsburgh for $30, and he said no. And that really stuck with me. I've been thinking about it ever since I heard this story. Is it worth it to do a show in Pittsburgh for $30? So I thought today we would break that down. We are going to look at it solely from the pro wrestling side of things. This is wrestler economics, and we are going to get on my soapbox, which is actually located in the classroom. Hello and welcome to my classroom. It's a closet because that's all the room I have to film this. But we're going to break this down. Should we take a $30 booking in Pittsburgh? This is based off a real thing, but I have changed the names and the locations to protect the innocent. And I'm also going to round some of the math just to make this easier for us. But let's really break down the process of trying to decide if this booking is worth it. So we are traveling to Pittsburgh. Where are we starting, though? Let's start at the beautiful Pro Wrestling Star Wrestling Academy, located at 22 King Street in Mount Holly, New Jersey, where you can train to become a professional wrestler and chase your dreams of sports entertainment. Also the location where every Friday night, SPO Wrestling puts on a live wrestling show. 8 great matches that you can watch in person or live on YouTube. So that's where we're going to start our journey. We are going to go to the YMCA that I found in Pittsburgh. That's located at 7140 Bennett Street in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So the obvious question is, do we fly or do we drive? Well, I did a bit of research. It's going to be about an hour 15 flight if we fly. So we're going to spend about an hour 15 in the air, and that's going to cost us $180 to get to Pittsburgh. Now, what you will probably notice first is 180 is larger than 30. So we should probably see what it would take to drive to Pittsburgh. So I've done the math, I did the Google Maps and all that stuff. We are going to be traveling 329 miles. This is going to take a lot of gas. So we are going to break down how much gas are we actually going to be spending here. So let's say, for just math reasons, that gas is $4, okay? And that our car gets about 25 miles per gallon. That should be a P, per gallon. So if it's 25 miles per gallon, every 25 miles, we're spending $4. So basically, just on gas alone, we are going to be spending about $52.64. That's a rough estimate what I got on Google Maps. But that does then bring up the question of tolls. How much money do you think it is going to cost in tolls to get from Mount Holly, New Jersey, which is in New Jersey right outside of Philadelphia, all the way to Pittsburgh? I want you to make a guess in the comments down below right now. Okay? Pause the video, put it down there. Welcome back. It is going to cost you in tolls $68 if you have Easy Pass. If you don't have Easy Pass, it actually costs you $108.68. That's an insane on tolls. That's an insane amount of time on tolls. So that means that in total, we are looking to spend $111.32 to $167.39 just to get to Pittsburgh. That's gas and tolls, depending on whether or not you have Easy Pass. Now, this will take about 5.5 hours. So you might think, oh, okay, so maybe it is worth it to fly. I mean, it's only going to be an extra $15 to fly. But remember, you're leaving from the Pro Wrestling Star Academy, so you have to drive a half hour to the airport. So it's actually going to be an hour 45 travel. But you also have to get to the airport 3 hours ahead of your flight. So it's actually going to be 4 hours and 45 minutes to get to Pittsburgh. Not the YMCA. I checked. There are no flights that go directly to the YMCA. So this is still going to take you about 5 hours if you fly. It's going to involve figuring out how to get to the airport to the actual venue. So it's still kind of close. So maybe we should actually look for another route that has no tolls. So there is a way to get to Pittsburgh without going through a single toll. You are now driving 370 miles in order to get there. It is now going to take you 6 hours and 45 minutes to get there. But you only have to worry about gas. Now, we use this equation that we're getting 25 miles per gallon. But now we're not taking highways. Now we're on back roads. Now we're stopping at red lights. So our miles per gallon is probably going to drop down to like 20 miles per gallon. So we are spending a gallon of gas, or $4, every 20 miles, which means if we take the no tolls route, it's actually going to cost $74. So this is our choice. We can either fly for $180, we can drive for somewhere between $111 and $167 if we take the fastest route, or we can drive an extra hour and 15 minutes for $74. And of course, now this is not counting weather, wear and tear on your car, flight delays, traffic, checking a bag, and it's also not weighing in the mistake I made. Did you guys catch it? There's a mistake I purposely made here because it's a mistake that I've seen promoters make, I've seen wrestlers make. When I was a touring comic, I've seen comedians make, I saw bookers make. This is the cost it would take for your trip to Pittsburgh. You then have to go home. So you also have to double all these numbers. Also, you should probably take out the $30 that you're making for the show. So the actual cost, if you wanted to fly, would be $330. If you wanted to drive and take the fastest route, we are talking $192.64 if you have Easy Pass. If you don't, you're looking at $304.72. And if you take the no tolls longer 6 hours and 45 minute route, you're looking at $118 for the show. That's the round trip cost of this. Now, it should seem, if you're looking at these numbers here, here, and here, that it's not worth it to go to Pittsburgh for $30. But if this is all you're worried about, the cost of getting there and your payday, you are not doing your due diligence as a wrestler to make sure you get the most out of this trip. So now we are going to call up our booker and ask a few questions to see if we can make a little bit more money. So let's get on the phone. So we're going to call up this promoter, and for the record, we are not going to ask for more money. In this scenario, we are going to say that the $30 is firm. That is the best that this promoter can do, and there is no use saying, hey, this is going to cost me at least $118. I need more than $30. Let's just say that that's not a possibility. So what are we going to do? Well, the first question we are going to ask is, hey, do you mind if I bring a trainee? We're trying to get more people in our car. This way we have more people to split these costs with. And we asked the promoter, like, hey, do you need ring crew? And he says, actually, we do need some ring crew. As a matter of fact, if you bring some ring crew, we can throw them into the pre-show battle royal. That's great. First off, that eliminates the flight. So now we're definitely driving. So if we can get one student to come with us, that's half the cost. If we can get 2 students, we're going to get a third of the cost. If we can get 3 students in our car, that's going to be a quarter of the cost. Except they're going to be ring crew. So now we have to get there at crew call, not talent call time. So that also means we can't take the longer route. So this is what we're working with now. If we can convince one trainee to come with us, that means that our costs are now going to be between $132 a person and $167 a person. If we can get a second trainee in here, we're splitting it 3 ways. Now our costs are just $74.22 if we have Easy Pass. If we don't, we're still looking at like $111 here. If we can get 3 trainees to come with us, we're now talking about only paying $55.66 a person. If we don't have Easy Pass, we're looking at more like $83.68 a person. But this number here, that's not accounting for the $30 payday. So we're now only spending, personally, $25.66 to get to Pittsburgh. That is not bad, in theory. Because now you're in this situation. I'm so sorry that this one looks like this. Now we are in this situation where we have all these people in our car. Now these are trainees. These are people that are hungry for opportunities. They are not getting bookings yet. They're not really getting out there. This is more about the meet and greet than making money, shaking hands, knowing a promoter, getting more experience, putting the ring together, seeing anything that they can do. So they might be a little bit more hungry to get out there, but they're not getting paid at all. They're taking the full blow here. They're not even getting $30. On top of that, you need to convince them that this is what it costs. We did the math on the gasoline, but they're only going to see you get gas twice. And at the end of the day, you're still going to have gas in your gas tank. So while we know that this is going to cost over $100 in gas, they're probably only going to see us buy $80 of gas. And there's a big difference between asking people, hey, I need $50, instead of saying I need $40, which is what they saw. Or hey, I need $25, instead of saying, hey, I need $20. On top of that, you also have to convince them about the tolls. Because the tolls, we're getting Easy Pass if we want to save money. So they're not actually seeing you pay for it and you don't have a receipt. Nor do you get a receipt if you are paying without Easy Pass, because it's all toll by plate. You are going to be driving through toll booths and they might not even notice. So when you present these numbers to the trainees, they might not believe you. On top of that, they know you're getting paid. So it is hard to split it 100% evenly in situations where you are getting more opportunity than they are when they are just riding along and hoping to get into a battle royal. But this is still our best chance. There is a way that we can now get to Pittsburgh, and it's only going to cost us $25.60. So what else can we do to make money? Well, the next logical question to that promoter should be, hey, can we sell stuff? So as night falls and a storm starts and the lights look different, the promoter says, sure, you can sell. You're allowed to sell merch. So our goal now is to reach this amount of money with the money we'll be making on this show. So we already know we're making $30. So we got that to start. So what are we going to sell? Now, a lot of people sell 8x10s, which I'm going to write down as picks so I don't add more numbers to this board. Now, with 8x10s, you can get 100 of these for about $50. This is not counting the cost to the photographer or anything like that, but they're about 50 cents each, okay? So if you take these and sell them each for $5, you're going to make $4.50 per sale. And you are probably not going to be able to do that. If you're not in an upper echelon of professional wrestling where you don't already have name value, 8x10s don't really sell well. If you're going to try to sell 8x10s, they're a good bonus. Like if you buy X, I'll throw in an 8x10. Or if you want a picture with me, I'll throw in an 8x10. Very few wrestling fans, in my experience, are looking for 8x10s. They're great to have. They're great to give to promoters for like press boxes and things like that, but they don't often sell well. What I recommend are pins. If you get a custom enamel pin, and again, these numbers are all going to be rounded. These are like rough estimates to make the math easier, but it's possible to get 100 enamel pins for $200. It's going to vary based on the design and the size of things, but easy math, $200. You could sell each one of those for $5 each, which means your profit is going to be $3 per pin. Pins are much easier to sell. People like to collect pins. People can think of a purpose for pins. They can add them to a collection or put them on a backpack or a jacket. This makes a lot more sense. And of course, what wrestling merch would be complete without a shirt? It is possible, and again, these numbers are rounded. You can get 100 shirts for about $500. So that's $5 a shirt, which means if you decide to sell your shirts for $25 each, you're walking away with $20 per sale. Now, you got to spend money to make money, but if you can get in there and you think that you can actually make some sales, this is possible. Let's say you're a pretty good salesman and you think that pretty much every show you can sell 2 pins and 3 shirts. So you are making a total of $6 off of the pins and $60 off of the shirts. This is pretty good, because now you're making $66 off of merch plus your $30 from your payday. You're making $96 off of your trip to New York. Your trip to Pittsburgh. That is going to cost you between $55 and $83. So now the trip is worth it. All you got to do is make sure that you sell your merch. Here's the thing about that, though. If you're bringing merch, that's going to take up room in your car. So now you're only bringing 2 trainees which means your goal in how much you're splitting has jumped back up to $74 to $111 based off of our past experience. So this is still good. Like, if you have Easy Pass, that's a pretty good number. But then you're going to ask a very important question to the promoter, and that is, can I go on before intermission? So if you go on before intermission, you now get a chance to sell at intermission and at the end of the show. So maybe now, instead of selling 2 pins and 3 shirts, you're selling 4 pins and 5 shirts. Well, that's going to now be $12. And that's going to bring your shirt budget all the way up to $100. So you, of course, tell the promotion, oh, that's going to be great. I'm going to sell shirts. I'm going to sell them for $25 a piece. And, oh, you're going to sell your shirts for $25 a piece, says the promoter? That might be a problem. You see, everyone else is also selling merch, and they sell their shirts for $20. So if you sell your shirts for $25, you're going to look like it's more expensive, and you're probably going to sell less shirts. So we're going to actually have to change this. So instead of selling for $25, so now you're only making $15 per shirt. Well, that's still not bad. You're still going to sell 5 shirts. That's still going to be $75. So $75 plus your $12 from pins, that's $87. You're seeing how fast I can do math. Plus the $30 you're making from your payday, that's still going to be, get this clean, $110 and $18. We're still going to make it. We're still going to make it. So you tell that promoter, oh, okay, no worries. I can lower my prices and I can still make it. This is still worth my trip to Pittsburgh because I think I can hit these metrics when I'm selling along with the payday. And then the promoter says, oh yeah, that sounds great. Oh, just as a reminder, you're working heel this show. Now, I'm not saying that heels can't sell merch. It's just a lot harder for heels to sell merch. Because your goal is not to be buddies with the fans, to not be a person that fans would want to buy from. You are the antagonist. You're the jerk. Why would a fan want to support you? Now, it's still possible that you can come up with some sort of heel gimmick where you can sell things to make money. You can charge to have a conversation with you. That's a thing that I've seen heels do, and they make a little bit of money because you get to have a fun interaction with a professional wrestler who insults you. So maybe you can walk away with another $30 as a heel. It's not going to quite hit that number. But there's still one important factor to talk about here. The X factor. Okay, so we're not selling merch anymore because we're working heel. We're trying to make up this difference. We'll go with the high end here. So we have $83. We're just going to call it $83 to make life easier. This is the amount of money that we will be spending on this trip because of our trainees and the path we tried to make. We're making $30, so our expenses drop to $53. We then add the X factor. What's the X factor? The X factor are the connections we're going to make on this trip. They are the quality match that we're going to have online after we have this match. It's the car ride that we're going to have with 3 trainees where we might learn some things and gain some skills. It's the things we're going to learn on this show. It's the person at this show that's going to see us and perhaps want to book us again. It's the promoter of this show seeing what we can do for them and wanting to book us again. That's what that X factor is. We don't know the value of that. So what are you doing at the end of the day? It is $53 of gambling. This is your bet. You're betting that if you spend this $53 on this show, along with your time and your energy and your focus, if you spend this, you're hoping to get some sort of return, whether that is connections, experience, or learned skills. That is what you are gambling on this show. So is it worth it? Is it worth it to spend $53 to get a $30 payday, drive some trainees, and perform on this show? No idea. Because everything that I've talked about is a thing that I've seen or have heard happen to another professional wrestler. There have been shows that I've done where I thought nothing was going to happen, and I shook the right person's hand and ended up filling up a calendar full of dates. There are also shows that I went to that I thought were going to be a great time, and the ring never showed up, and I didn't even get paid. But this is the gamble. I'm not saying it is worth it to take this show that we've talked about. I'm not saying it's not worth it. The question for you, if you are a professional wrestler, is that the gamble I want to make? And there is no correct answer. This is something that I also wanted to present to fans of professional wrestling, because anytime you're like, oh, I hope this person comes out. This is the math equation that has to happen every single time a wrestler wants to go to a new promotion, or if you want your favorite wrestler to show up at your favorite promotion. This is just the wrestler side of things as well. We will talk about the promotion side at another time. But this is what wrestling economics looks like. And this has been an episode of Plus 2 Wrestling. What do you think of this format? I'm no longer in a weird digital void. I thought it would be more effective if I could write, but apparently I'm very bad at writing based off this handwriting. So let me know what you think of this format, or if I should go back to my digital layout. No matter what you decide to do, I hope you decide to subscribe right here to Plus 2 Wrestling so you get a notification next time I make one of these weird videos. And I hope you have a great day.